empowerment. Professor John Drury has studied empowerment and protests around the world.
So to answer this question, I'm going to provide 3 points. And I should say that when I'm talking about collective action, I'm talking, many of my examples come from direct action activities and also riots. And the first point is that it's about shared social identity. So the starting point for understanding empowerment in collective action is that we perceive others as an extended self. We perceive enough people around us that believe in the same things as we do, that see the world in the same way as we do. When that happens, we expect support for in-group normative action. So what that means is that if we want to do something that we wouldn't normally do in everyday life, like, I don't know, climb over a fence to invade some construction site, that other people will support us, will back us up because they feel the same way that we do. So that sense of unity gives us that belief that we can do things we wouldn't normally do. So that's the first point. The second point is it's not just about shared social identity, it's actually about what you do with that identity. And it's about enacting that identity or acting in an identity congruent or consistent way. And this is important because in everyday life, subordinate groups that are less powerful, are not able to act in ways that really express their beliefs and values because dominant groups prevent them. Everyday life prevents them. And what we're talking about here is an action that reverses power relations, an action that turns around who's powerful and who's weak and changes the world from one which reflects their subordination, their powerlessness, to one which instantiates, which embodies their power, their agency. One of my early examples was a direct action in which people invaded a construction site and prevented the removal of a tree that was about to be demolished for a motorway. And they reclaimed that as public land, and seeing that land as public space was an embodiment of their values, and seeing the police and the security guards vanquished was an expression of their understanding of how the world should be. So in the third point, that's 2 points. The first one is shared social identity. The second point is enactment of identity. And the third point has to do with what it feels like. So empowerment is an experience. It's not only a process, it's also an experience. And what is that experience? And the most obvious thing that comes across when people talk about it, our most recent research looked at people involved in the 2011 riots in London. And they described some of the things I mentioned so far. We were all in it together. The police were chased out and it felt tremendous. So you've got that emotional dimension, that exhilaration, that joy. And this is what differentiates empowerment from efficacy. But in fact, efficacy is part of it. Efficacy is an important belief in the empowerment experience, the belief that we can change something. So there's 2 dimensions. First is joy, exhilaration. Second is efficacy. And the third one is what in social identity they call perceived instability, the perception that the context, the power of the outgroup can be changed, is changing, they are weak, and we can do something about it. The 3 takeaway points are, first of all, it's about shared social identity. Secondly, it's about enactment of identity, enactment of identities that aren't normally able to be expressed in everyday life. And third, it's about the experience, the positive experience, and the belief that you can change the world.